She was thrown into the village well, but no one had any idea who she truly was until the truth exploded. They said water reveals the truth, that if someone lies, the well will swallow them. And one cold autumn morning, the villagers gathered around its stone edge, waiting to see if the silent woman would float or disappear beneath the darkness forever. Mothers covered their children's eyes. The priest whispered a prayer, and the woman, bound at the wrists, soaked in shame, simply looked at them all, as if she recognized every face. But no one knew who she truly was, nor how many lives had already been buried because of her. Before we begin this forgotten story of injustice, power, and a name history tried to erase, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss the truths that time tried to drown. The village of Brackenford was not on any royal map. It lived off rumors more than crops, and judgments more than prayers. The well in its center had become its court, and gossip its only law. Long before that woman was bound and thrown in, something had already begun to change in the rhythms of the village. People spoke softer. Doors stayed locked longer. And whenever anyone mentioned her name, Ilara, they paused, as if unsure whether it was safe to continue. Ilara arrived 6 months before the trial. She came alone, carrying only a satchel and a bruised silence. Some said she had escaped a fire from a distant manor. Others whispered that she was linked to a nobleman who vanished without explanation. No one knew the truth, but Brackenford did not like unanswered questions. So they watched her. They waited, and slowly, they began to fear her. She rented a room at the miller's cottage, an old couple with more debts than children, and paid with coins no one recognized. Not royal mint, not foreign, something oldie. The miller's wife asked her once where she got them. Ilara simply said, "I keep what I am owed." She never said by whom. But there was something else. In the evenings, women from the village began visiting her. Quietly, privately. Some asked about herbs. Others asked about how to read letters they found in their husbands' pockets. One woman came with bruises. Another came trembling after hearing rumors that her daughter was to be married off to a man nearly 50. Ilara never judged them. She only listened and gave advice no one expected a stranger to know. That is when fear turned to suspicion, because in Brackenford, women were taught not to think too much. And Ilara, she made them think too clearly. It began with Anna, young, married, desperate. Her husband sold her dowry and planned to send her away so he could remarry someone with land. She went to Ilara in secret, and 2 days later, the husband changed his mind entirely, claiming Anna's eyes reminded him of the woman he once loved. But people in Brackenford rarely changed their minds without a reason or a threat. Rumors spread like dry grain near fire. Some called Ilara an advisor. Others called her a manipulator. And the priest, Father Aldrich, declared her a danger to the balance of the home. He warned that knowledge given to the wrong hands spreads disease faster than plague. Then came the night that sealed her fate. The miller was found dead, his neck bruised, his chest cold as winter. His wife swore he died in his sleep, but the priest claimed his death did not look peaceful. A search of the cottage revealed letters, records of villagers' debts, secrets, and personal confessions, all written in Ilara's hand. Every sin, every affair, every hidden coin. Who gave her the right to know? A blacksmith shouted. No woman writes such things without purpose. Another added. They dragged her to the square. She did not scream nor fight. She only looked at every face with the same calm she arrived with, as though she had never been surprised by people's cruelty. Father Aldrich asked her one question before her trial began. "Who are you "To record our secrets," she answered softly. "Sometimes truth needs a witness, and sometimes it needs protection." They called it a confession. The well was chosen as punishment, not fire. Fire purified, but water revealed liars. As the villagers bound her wrists with rope, Anna, the woman whose life Ilara had helped, stepped forward. She tried to speak, but the blacksmith held her back. Father Aldrich lifted his hand for silence. Ilara stood at the edge of the well. The rope tightened. The crowd murmured prayers mixed with venom. A young boy asked his father, "Will she float?" The father's reply was cold. "If she sinks, we were wrong. But if she floats, then she was never clean." Ilara looked down into the dark water, then at the faces around her. She whispered something, but no one heard except the miller's widow, who gasped in shock before anyone could ask what she said. Ilara was pushed in. The crowd waited. Seconds passed, then minutes, but she didn't float. People began to disperse. Some truly believed justice had been served. Others wondered why she came here at all. Only the miller's widow stood still, because what Ilara whispered was not prayer. It was a name no villager should have known, not unless she had once stood inside the royal court. That night, while the village slept beneath uneasy silence, the miller's widow sat alone in her dark cottage, replaying the name Ilara had whispered before she was thrown into the well. It was not the name of a villager, not of a saint. It was the name of a nobleman who had vanished 5 years earlier, Lord Emmerich of Greythorn, rumored to have been poisoned in a plot of inheritance and political rivalry. No trace of his killer was ever found. No suspect was ever named. His disappearance was one of the deepest stains on the royal court. And now, a woman from nowhere had spoken his name at the edge of death. At dawn, she returned to the well, hands trembling, staring into the water that had swallowed Ilara. But something stopped her breath. The rope was still tied to the stone pillar, but the other end was cut clean, not frayed, not torn, cut with precision. Someone had helped her, or she had never needed help at all. Word spread before the sun rose. Fields went untended, doors stayed shut, and by noon, the village began to taste fear. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that watches. Some said Ilara had drowned. Others believed she had escaped. But a question lingered like smoke. What if she never intended to stay buried? Father Aldrich called an emergency gathering inside the chapel, his voice stern but shaken. He warned that a woman of secrets moves like a disease, unseen but spreading. Yet as he spoke, the miller's widow rose from her seat and asked the question no one wanted to hear. What if she was not running from us? What if she was sent to watch us? The room fell silent. She continued revealing what she had found earlier that morning. A seal burned onto the inside of Ilara's satchel. A royal seal. Not just of any house, but the crest of Greythorn itself. The lost house. The one wiped from records after Lord Emmerich's disappearance. Father Aldrich's face turned pale. The crest had been banned by order of the crown. Slowly a theory emerged, whispered from one villager to another. Was Ilara his daughter, his scribe, or the one who knew how he died? Before anyone could answer, a bell rang from the south watchtower. A rider was approaching. The villagers rushed outside. A lone horseman, armored and stern, halted in the square. Without greeting or explanation, he unrolled a letter and read aloud. By order of the royal justice, any records, evidence, or persons connected to the House of Greythorn are to be surrendered immediately. Failure to comply will be seen as an act of concealment and treated as treason. Treason. The word turned blood to ice. He then asked a single question. Has a woman passed through this village, early 30s, kept to herself, referred to as Ilara? Every villager glanced at another, waiting for someone else to speak. Father Aldrich stepped forward, voice carefully composed. She was accused of deceit. We purified her. The rider's eyes narrowed. Alive? The priest hesitated. No. The rider did not believe him. He dismounted, scanned the square, noticed the well, and walked straight toward it. He leaned over, examined the rope, and without turning back, he muttered, "She was here." The rider ordered guards to arrive by dusk. He warned all villagers to stay indoors. But before he left, he approached the miller's widow and whispered something to her that made her knees weaken. Once the rider was gone, the widow gathered a handful of villagers and spoke in a trembling voice. The rider had not asked her for information, nor threatened her. Instead, he asked her a question. When she left, did she take the royal letters with her? What letters? No one but the widow knew, because weeks earlier, before the miller died, Ilara had given her something, a bundle wrapped in cloth. She was told never to read it, only to guard it until Ilara returned. That night the widow unwrapped it. Inside were letters, dozens of them, signed by nobles, advisors, and men of power. They spoke of bribes, land theft, arranged trials, even secret accusations against the crown itself. Not just rumors, records, all written by Lord Emmerich, the same noble whose death had never been solved, the same noble whose name Ilara had whispered before she was thrown into the well. She wasn't his murderer. She was his witness, and now, maybe his avenger. The widow looked out her window toward the hills, and for the first time, she understood why Ilara had come to their forgotten village, a place where secrets could hide quietly until the time came to use them. In the distance, she saw torchlight. The royal guards were approaching. They were not looking for a dead woman. They were looking for someone who knew too much. And somewhere, beyond those hills, Ilara was still alive, carrying the truth and choosing where to aim it. History often remembers kings, wars, and thrones, but sometimes the quietest figures carry the most dangerous truths. Justice does not always roar. Sometimes it listens, watches, and waits. If stories like this move you, make sure to subscribe so the voices history tried to drown can finally be heard.